Welcome to The Explainer, where our whole goal is to break down big topics into guides that are super clear and easy to follow. Today, we're diving right into the third part of the Quran because it does exactly that. It's this incredible weave of theology, history, and really practical community law. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through 6 key themes, and you'll see how each one just naturally flows into the next. All right, first up, let's talk divine authority. We're actually starting at the very end of the Quran's second chapter, Surah Al-Baqarah. This part is all about laying that crucial groundwork for faith. So right off the bat, the text makes a really important point. It establishes that while all prophets are God's messengers, some of them were given a higher rank. It's this idea that each one had a unique and specific role to play. And this leads us to something truly incredible. This section contains what many consider the most majestic, most powerful verse in the entire Quran. It's called Ayatul Kursi, or the throne verse. And wow, is it a declaration of God's absolute authority. I mean, just look at this. It paints such a vivid picture. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't sleep. Everything in the heavens and the earth, it's all his. His knowledge covers everything. It just brilliantly illustrates God's absolute power and omniscience, making it crystal clear that nothing, absolutely nothing, escapes his control. Okay, so after establishing God's immense power, the Quran does something really smart. It doesn't just say, believe in the resurrection. No, it gives you proof. It uses these powerful stories to show you, not just tell you, about God's power over life and death. A perfect example is the story of Prophet Ibrahim. God tells him to take 4 birds, dismember them, place them on different mountains, and then just call to them. And just like that, they're miraculously reassembled and fly right back to him. The message is pretty clear, isn't it? If God can do that, then bringing all of humanity back to life is definitely possible. And it doesn't stop there. There's another story about a man named Uzair who was brought back to life after a whole 100 years. Again, it's another one of these powerful, tangible signs to show that resurrection is absolutely certain. So you see the pattern here? We've established this unshakable belief in God's power. But what's the point if it doesn't change how we live? Well, that's exactly where the text goes next. From these big theological proofs to very practical day-to-day guidance for building a just community. And to kick things off, it tackles charity. It uses this beautiful parable to get you excited about giving. Imagine planting 1 single grain, and from that you get a plant that produces 700 grains. That's a 700 times reward. It's a powerful symbol of the immense return you get for giving. Then we get into economics, and the Quran draws a very, very clear line in the sand. On one side, you have lawful trade, or al-bay, which is totally okay. But on the other side, you have usury, or Riba, which is strictly forbidden because it's seen as an unjust system that harms society. And this all comes to a head in what is actually the longest single verse in the entire Quran. And what's it about? Contracts. It gives this super clear step-by-step guide. First, you write it down. Second, make sure it's written fairly. And third, get witnesses. You know, this isn't just about money, it's a blueprint for a society built on trust. All right, that brings us to a whole new chapter, Surah Al-Imran, which translates to the family of Imran. And the backstory here is really interesting. This chapter was revealed during a major dialogue with a Christian delegation that came from Najran to speak with the Prophet. Now, what's fascinating is that in this chapter, the Quran kind of explains itself. It says that some of its verses are muhkamat. These are the clear, foundational verses. They're like the pillars of a building, the solid ground you stand on. They're the mother of the book. But then, there are other verses that are mutashabihat. These are the allegorical ones, the ones with layers of meaning. And the text gives a bit of a warning here, saying the right approach is one of humility, acknowledging that their ultimate, full meaning is known only to God. Okay, so with that framework in mind, the chapter dives deep into the story of the family of Imran. And this is where we get some of the most, miraculous narratives in all of Scripture. It's this whole sequence of incredible events. It starts with the wife of Imran dedicating her child to God. That child is Maryam, or Mary. She's raised in the temple, where God miraculously provides for her. And all of this builds up to the biggest miracle of all, Maryam giving birth to Isa, or Jesus, without a father. So how did it happen? Well, the explanation is beautifully simple. When she asks how it's possible, the answer is direct. God creates what he wills. All he has to do is say the word be, and it is. Just like that. And that leads us to the final, really powerful idea in this section. It's a concept that basically ties all of religious history together into one single story.
Get this, the Quran says that a covenant, a promise, was taken from every single prophet. Think about that for a second. Every single one.
And what was this promise? It was that they and their followers would believe in and support the messenger who would come after them, confirming their own message. It's this beautiful idea that all these prophets were part of one big, continuous team, passing the baton of the same core message down through history.
So let's just leave you with this question to think about. What if we stopped seeing faith as a bunch of separate, competing teams, and instead saw it as one single, continuous story? How would that change the way we look at the world and each other? It's a pretty powerful thought. And that's our deep dive for today. This summary was based on the Khulasat al-Quran by Maulana Muhammad Ilyas Coleman, and this whole explainer was put together by the Ummah 360 team. Thanks so much for joining us.